How you doing, guys? Welcome back to Breadman TV. I know I said I would try to be consistent, but I didn't really plan for this pandemic to really affect. This came out of left field for everybody. Basically, before this whole pandemic started, I was just starting back up this YouTube channel, and I was planning on really highlighting a lot of businesses that were around the New York area. Consequently, the pandemic came and a lot of the businesses had to close. So that whole idea kind of got scrapped. I was thinking about different ideas. I didn't really want to bring the whole channel into another direction again if I didn't really have to, but it's been quite some time now. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a little background. I know some of you guys are new subscribers, some of you subscribers from the times when I was on Groovin Radio. Well, basically this episode I'm going to really start off with letting you guys know me. I get to some of you guys, you just see me talk, you just see me a lot of times. A lot of my videos are just audio. You didn't even really see my face or Ras Clem's face. Ras Clem is not part of this anymore. It's just me right now. So I'm going to start off from right now. Basically, we're telling you how I even got the name Breadman. Breadman was not a name that I chose. The story of how the Breadman name even came about, I would have to go back to about 2003. That's what, 17 years ago? 2003, I used to work for company Frito-Lay. And make a long story short, I got into an accident. Somebody stopped short in front of me while I was driving the Frito-Lay truck, and I bumped them in the back. My manager, the Frito-Lay protocol right there is that you have to go and take a drug test immediately if you're involved in any accident. I took a drug test. They told me it came back that I had marijuana in my system. I'm not gonna lie, I did used to smoke marijuana on the weekends, on my days off. But that bad situation, well, it was a bad situation because they fired me. So that bad situation got turned into a good situation, which is what I always try to do, is to not focus on anything bad. I gotta stay positive no matter what the hell is going on. And I looked at it that a couple months before I started, a couple months before this incident happened, what happened was that I had this idea about starting this business where I would basically do vacations for people that did delivery services, as far as delivering to supermarkets and stuff, which is what I was doing for Frito-Lay. I realized that while I was working for Frito-Lay, a lot of guys were independent operators where they used to deliver bread, chips, different things, but they worked for themselves. They basically bought a territory in New York and they own that territory, and every day they have to make sure that all the stores in that territory is serviced with their product. It's like a business that, as far as with just no storefront, your business is out of that truck. You buy your own truck, you insure your own truck, and you have all those expenses. You get a 1099 from the distributor at the end of the year. So you're basically an S Corp. At that time, I didn't even know what an S Corp was. So now, newly fired, no job. Paid off all the bills that I could pay off with my last check, $40 in my pocket. So I decide, what can I lose right now? Let me go and try this idea that I had. The idea that I had was, I noticed that these guys would always act a certain way when I went on vacation working for Frito-Lay. Now Frito-Lay is a company. I work for the company. I punch my clock and whatever. I get my vacations, my 2 vacations a year or whatever. When I go on vacation, I come back, these guys be like, man, you lucky you went on vacation. I'm looking at them like, I'm lucky. You're lucky. the percentage you're getting on every bag of chips or every bag of bread that you're selling is way more than the commission that I get from Frito-Lay. And he was like, but I gotta work 52 weeks. That's what they're telling me. I gotta work 52 weeks a year. You get vacation. So I said, why you can't get vacation? He said, if I go on vacation, I gotta have somebody run my route for me. And I can't afford to have a helper all year round that I could go on vacation. Some guys have big enough routes. I'm like, wow. So there's nobody that could do it. He was like, oh, the warehouse. This was one particular guy with bread. Oh, the warehouse has a guy, but he charges us for when we go on vacation. If we go on vacation, they run the route, they take all the commission from the route, and then they charge us like $500 a week. So I was like, damn. And so I was like, that's better, you're making enough money. He was like, yeah, but I wish I didn't have to pay to go on vacation. I'm already going on vacation. So I understood his gripe. So that stuck in my head, and I thought about it, the entrepreneurial part of Breadman now. Thought about it, and I was like, yo, I could run the routes. Why don't I run the routes and I charge them something cheaper than what they're already getting charged? They must do that. So back to me, newly fired. I go straight down to the warehouse for this company called Arnold Bread. You probably heard it because they're nationwide. Arnold Bakery. So they're part of a conglomerate bakery called George Weston Bakeries, but the Arnold division is an independent division. Like what I'm telling you about, these guys, you got to pay for the territory. So I go down to their warehouse. It was like in the middle of the night. I'm scratching my head thinking, and I was like, I'm not even waiting. I just drove down there 2 o'clock in the morning. $40 that I had in my pocket, I used, and I put gas in the car, drove down there. Took some papers out of my printer before I went down there, took them out, wrote my name and my phone number. That was my first business cards on about like 50 little pieces of paper. When I got down there, walked into the warehouse, seen a bunch of guys. There was about 5 guys there. I walked up to the first guy. I walked up to the manager in the warehouse first, and I introduced myself. I told him what I was interested in doing, and he was excited. It was like, I guess that was the fate part, that when you think about things and things jump in your head, you got to move on them right then. Because I didn't know this, but they were going through a dilemma in that warehouse because nobody can get vacation because there was a transfer in ownership of the warehouse, where the warehouse was bought back by the mother company, and the mother company was just like, you got to deal with it. We don't have nobody to do vacations anymore. So when they heard me come in with my idea now, the company itself is like, yeah, go ahead, speak to the guys. Maybe they'll get off our back for wanting us to get somebody. So I'm like, okay, thank you. I was like, is it okay if these guys are cool with this? Is it okay if I put a calendar in your warehouse so that I could logistically coordinate what days they want on vacation or what days they want? He was like, sure, and anything you need, because you're helping us out, you're helping them out. We hope this works. So I'm like, thank you. This is like half an hour into the warehouse. I never even met these people. So I go to the first guy, I explain what I'm in. It's a white guy, and there's 5 white guys in there. I explain what I'm about. And they're like, yeah, we'll think about it. One guy was like, oh, you work with the company? I said, well, I just spoke to the manager. I believe his name was, I don't remember this guy's name right now, but it was some island guy. He's from St. Kitts or somewhere. Black guy. But he was cool that first day. He was cool. So some of these guys, they were like iffy. They wasn't sure. They didn't know me, which is understandable. And, you know, of course, we're seeing it right now in the whole climate of, it's a black guy. Do I want to trust this black guy with my money and my business? You know what I'm saying? So I'm waiting to see this guy that I know. All right, so this guy, there's one guy named Jim. He's an old man, older guy. He's like one of the elders there. He's been there for years, over 20 years on the route. And I actually spoke to him on the phone before about the whole idea, and he was really with it. He there telling me, yeah, he was there telling me, yeah, I think you would be good for you to come down here. Come down there and try it. So I'm waiting to see Jim come in, but Jim didn't come in about like till 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm looking in there now, I'm waiting, guys are coming in, I'm talking to guys. Nobody really bit the first day, long story short. I seen Jim. Jim brought me out that day with him, paid me $60 to help him do his route. I was thankful for it, came home, bought some food for the family, you know what I'm saying? Jim told me to come out, I could come out and work with him and just be a helper for the rest of the week. I said, no problem. During that time, I would introduce myself to these guys more and more. So, worked that first week with Jim. By the end of the week, Jim tells him he's basically, I'm helping him during the week, and he's also training me on how the ins and outs of how this bread company and how their computers and the whole logistics of how the business is run. So I get it down with it in a week, and he realized I got it down packed within probably less than a week. In 3 days, I had it down in my head. So he actually asked me, he said, you think you could do my route by yourself? I said, of course. He takes off the next week, 2 days. When he comes back, he asks me how much I'm going to charge him. Now, that's the first thing of business. You're the businessman. You need to know what your price is. You need to know what you're worth. You need to set your price. Don't ask people what they think you are worth, because they're never going to give you the right answer. So when he asked me that, I was, first of all, grateful that he even gave me the respect to ask me what my price is, because some people out there would just be like, okay, here, and then, you know, underpay you. But there's ways around that when you do it. You being a true entrepreneur, there's ways around that. So I go in there now, I do his route, he comes back. The minute he comes back, all these guys crowding around Jim. What's going on? They crowding around Jim, asking him a whole bunch of questions. He comes over to me, he goes, yeah, a lot of these guys, they were waiting for me to run for you to run my route. They want to know how you did. So I gave you a good review because you did the route pretty good. And I was like, thank you, Jim. The next day, boom, I got my first phone call. By the end of the week, I got about 10 weeks booked for the rest of the year. By the end of that month, I have the whole year booked off. So I'm like, wow, I'm on to something now. Set up the calendar, I worked the whole year. By the end of the time of December now, I started up and I put another calendar up. And before I put up the calendar at the beginning of December, by New Year's, my whole year is going again. So I end up working from I started that business to the end of the year. The next year I worked the whole 52 weeks because I never thought about it like, I need a vacation. I'm giving these guys vacation, but I need a vacation. It was my, I guess you would say, one of my second lessons, that you got to put time out for yourself. You got to make sure you pay yourself. You got to put time out for yourself, because you can't just be working yourself like that. At the beginning, it's going to be hard, and sometimes it's going to need you to work every day like that. But you got to have some kind of end game where you rest, because there's no longevity in you just working like that. It's got to be in every business plan. All right, you got to either get some kind of management that you can delegate responsibilities to, where you can actually sit back and just basically do that, delegate, and have the business running like you're the puppeteer. So that's how I started this company called Route Relief Services. And during the time there, I grew the company where I hired on guys, and I hired on up to about 3-4 guys, and I had them doing different routes, and I had multiple calendars in the warehouse, and business was pretty good. And I bought my first route, and then I owned my second route. And during that time, I'm a person that feel like when time is good and I can afford and I see people in need, I always try to help people out in need. So what I started doing really earlier on, I always made sure that the guys that work for me, if they needed bread for their house, they're not going to pay for bread for their house. So you could get 2 loaves a week for your house, and I'll just allocate that. I'll pay for like an extra tray or extra tray of 2 for these guys to bring home bread for them, for their families. I would have extra bread. I'd bring home bread for myself, of course, and then I would have extra bread. And I would see guys around the neighborhood. I would see even guys like homeless people, and I'd give them bread. And I'd just give bread to people that, because I didn't want the bread to be wasted. So I'd give a lot of my extra bread out to people that I know and people that I didn't know. And then after a while, it's just when I'd be on the street, and while I'm working, because now I'm going all around the city of New York doing different routes every week, because I'm doing vacations for these guys. 1 week I'm in Queens, 1 week I'm in Brooklyn, the next week I'm in Manhattan, and then I'm in the Bronx, then I'm in Jersey. So when I would bump into people that knew me from work, some store managers, I knew almost every store manager in the city. When I bump into store managers and different people, they never remembered my name. They would always be like, "Yo, Breadman," and I would just answer to it, "Yeah, what's up?" And then in my neighborhood or whatever, people around my neighborhood, they usually got bread from me, and they would get bread from me one time or another, and they didn't really know my name, so they would call me Breadman too. So after a while, I just kept answering to this name, Breadman, and it didn't even feel a way to me. There wasn't a nickname. I just started answering to the name Breadman. Then skip forward, things happen. That's a whole other story. I can't go into that right now because that's going to make this video probably like an hour or so. But skip forward to it. I have to sell the business. 2010, I have to sell the business, right? So when I sell the business now, I'm hanging out with one of my friends, and he has like a little independent radio station, radio program on a radio station in New York, where he pays for his time on the radio. So one night he has to go to do his radio program, and his car broke down, and he's at my uncle's body shop, and he's there, and he doesn't have any transportation to get to the radio program. He doesn't want to get a taxi, so he was like, "Yo, Breadman, can you bring me up to the radio station? You doing something right now?" So I wasn't really doing anything. I just sold my rod. I wasn't working. I was just chilling. Sold the whole business. I was out of the business and everything, so I just cashed out at that point. And I brought him up to the radio station. He started his program. I'm sitting in my car listening to his program on the radio, on my radio in the car, and I'm listening to him, and I'm looking through the window and him in the studio, and I'm like, damn, that's pretty lit. Oh, I could hear him right here. Now that's the first time I really just programmed that. Then I hear him say, "Oh, I'll be right back after these messages and the commercials start." And I see him run out of the studio, and he comes out of the parking lot. He was like, "Yo, come in the studio." So I was like, "What's up?" He was like, "Yo, come in the studio. The program is kind of boring." So I go in the studio for like the last 15 minutes of the program, and we start talking. I don't even remember what we spoke about at this point, but we started talking on the radio, and by the end of the radio program, he was like, "Yo, you're pretty good on the radio. You got a nice voice on the mic. It resonates through the mic." So I was like, "Yeah, you think?" And I wasn't really taking him serious, but throughout the week, he's calling me. He was like, "Yo, you coming back next week on the radio?" So I'm like, what are you serious?" He was like, "Yeah, come back on the radio. People calling." It was like, "Yo, they like the little feedback, and they like how we vibe on the radio." So I was like, "Yo, I'm not doing anything right now. I just try this thing out." But when I first went on the radio, since he was one of those people that didn't really know my name, when he was ready to introduce me, he didn't know my real name to introduce me as my real name. My name is Leon. He just said, "This is my friend Breadman." And from that point on, I went on the radio, and I was on the radio for like the next 6 years. And for the 6 years, my name on the radio was Breadman. And I couldn't change it from that point on. Breadman was born. So sometimes you just gotta go with how the universe is directing you with certain things. At the beginning of this story, like I told you, I thought everything was over. I got fired from my job, but I was able to turn this thing around, got the name Breadman out of it. And at other points, I'm going to probably give you another story in the next couple of days of the things that Breadman have done, because Breadman wears a lot of different hats. I told you the entrepreneur side of Breadman. I even told you a little bit of the philanthropical side of Breadman with giving out the bread, but I always try to give back. You always got to show gratitude to people, and I'm even, like I even tell you guys, I'm thankful for the subscribers. I just reached 1,000 subscribers. Thank you guys for bringing me to 1,000. I hope to see you at 2,000. I hope to see you at 10,000. I hope to see you at 100,000 when I get that plaque. But thank you guys. I'm just gonna start making this thing a vlog, making you really see what Breadman is and what Breadman is about, while I highlight and try to do my part in this whole thing. You know what I'm saying? This whole thing, trying to make the human race a little bit better before I leave this place. And that's what I think all of us need to do. We just need to realize, try to make this world a little bit better than when you came in before you leave. And if we all stayed on that page, we'd be unstoppable. We'd be unstoppable as a race. And I'm not talking black or white. I'm talking as human. We'd be unstoppable as the human race if we figured that out. So these are one of the things that Breadman do. Sometimes I just go on the vibe and I just talk these things that just come to me. This is not written. This is not scripted. This is just me talking from the heart. And I hope to really get to know you guys a little bit more. As always, I'm going to ask you, please subscribe. Click that bell when you subscribe. You know how YouTube does it now. And if you're on Instagram, follow me on Instagram. I'm Breadman876. All right? See you guys later. All right, guys, I want to thank everyone for watching. Please know that I do appreciate every single one of you guys. All I wanted you to do right now is to please leave a comment down below. Tell me the video like you just watched. If you want to see more content like this, if you want to see some other things, just please leave a comment down below. Tell me what your suggestions are. All comments are welcome. And everyone, just please stay safe out there during this whole crisis with the protesting and with the pandemic of the coronavirus. Just please stay safe out there. Wear your mask when you can. Please wear your mask when you can. This is a serious virus. All right? See you guys in the next video.
Breadman, make myself your life is not a dead man.